Welcome, y'all. It's my favorite podcaster, Donna D, and the Urban Mommy Podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe and share. Tell a friend and hit that bell to keep up with the latest updates, because you don't want to miss what my girl got to say. I'm just saying. The Urban Mommy Podcast. Let's go.
Hello, this is your girl Donna D, aka the Urban Mommy, and I am back with another podcast. Today, I am joined by Mr. Robert. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So we usually start off by introducing ourselves. So can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I have been in the, let's say, realm of, I would say, business and entrepreneurship and things of this nature for a little over 12 years now. Before that, I was a civil engineer. I studied civil engineering. That's my background. And then before that, I was very lucky to be raised by two loving parents. I had both my parents, my mom and my dad. My mom was a nurse and my dad was a school teacher. So in a very small town in Transylvania, Romania, it was nice to be brought up in those circumstances because my parents did have financial worries, a lot of them, because I mean it's a nurse and a teacher, so it wasn't the best of let's say financially stable jobs. However, they did sometimes they would get these little gifts, like eggs or bread or cake or whatever people would give a nurse or a teacher or whatever, and those really helped. Interestingly enough, like you would say that they they don't, but for us it did. So those little attentions were very helpful. And I do know that we never felt poverty, even though we were relatively poor. Not, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone that didn't have a roof, and so on. Obviously, we didn't have it that bad, but we couldn't afford to buy anything. So I remember at one point when I was like 10 years old, until that we didn't have a computer, and my parents were debating, should we get a car or should we get a computer? And they're like debating, like, because we can't afford both, so what should we get? And luckily they ended up buying a computer, which was a good decision, I believe. So we didn't have a car until I was in high school. Like, I didn't know when in high school we got our first car. And don't expect like an awesome car. It was like maybe like a $500 car or $1,000 car or something. So that was our first car. And it's that where I came from. And then at one point I just said that I want more, I want to do more, I want to be more, I want to have more, experience more. And so slowly but surely, we started building up the little portfolio that we have. Right now we are at 8 businesses, generating 7 figures yearly. We work with clients in 19 different countries. It's a pleasure to do everything that we do. And we passed 10 million in revenue, I believe, 1.5 years ago. So
Wow.
it's been a ride. It's been a very interesting ride, but very humbled to have been on it so far. So.
Okay. Well, congratulations. So, did your upbringing kind of influence your decision to go into business?
Not to go into business, or maybe it has, because I was treated in a certain way when I was young, and everyone would respect everyone else and would give credit where it's due. And my family was a real no BS type of family, right? We didn't gossip, we didn't talk poorly about others, and so on. So interestingly enough, my parents had incredibly thick like, or strong backbones, and I don't know how, and I'm happy they met, and they made babies, so it's a very good combination of having dignity and good moral judgment and basic intelligence to figure out what's fair, what's not fair, and so on. So I was raised in that, let's say, culture, if you can call it a family culture. And so when I would join corporations and I would realize that they wouldn't care about me, or it didn't matter how much I worked, didn't matter if I was the best worker, for many months in a row. Um, I would have weird conversations with HR about my employment and my career and so on and so forth. So I have so many stories. We don't have time to go into them, but they were not, let's say, productive at all, those conversations. And so at one point I had enough after X number of experiences, and I said, look, I'm just going to start my own company. So maybe it had something to do with that, but I always wanted to be an engineer. So I just wanted to build stuff because I love doing that. And I couldn't do it, or at least I couldn't find the company to do it for. So I made my own company. So one of my first companies is my engineering company. And then I built, around 10 other ones other than that.
Wow. So you build different companies, and they are all different, not just engineering, correct?
Yes. So each one of them is different sectors, different places on the planet. I think we have headquarters in like maybe 10 different locations across the 8 companies. And operations we have on 14 different time zones. So we have almost 100 staff, and they're wherever they live. It's completely remote. I operate everything from my computer and my phone. I just need good internet, and I'm good to go. So and
Wow.
electricity, obviously.
Right. That's impressive. So,
Thank
with
you.
all the different businesses that you operate, do you typically find one that you enjoy doing more? Like, would it be like the engineering since you always wanted to be one?
um that's a very good question. Actually, no one asked me that question. I've been on a dozen podcasts. No one asked me that. Let me think. There's one I like more. Let me give you maybe a shocking answer. I
Okay.
would I would at this point in time work on none of them. I would work on something else completely, which I'm thinking of already. However, these businesses are being worked on. All of them are growing. All of them are doing what they need to do. One of them is very, let's say, has a lot of potential. It's a business process optimization platform, because we've seen a huge gap in the market. So we are filling that gap with the tool so that
Hmm.
people can run operations smoothly and so on and so forth, because almost no one can, because the books say like you should have SOPs and procedures and trainings and everything. But then, when you start doing them, no one looks at the Google Doc whilst they are doing their work, right? And so we've invented something that is almost a forcing mechanism for everyone to follow, the same procedure every single time they do a certain task. And so we've been working on that for like 2 years. We just launched it a couple weeks ago. So that's the most promising one right now that I'm giving most of my attention to. And then I have something else that I want to do. And that's what keeps me up at night right now. So I know it's a weird answer, but all of my businesses are assets. I see them as business assets. They're making money every month, every quarter, every year, right? And then you just, as the owner, you get the dividends, at the end of the quarter, end of the year.
Correct. So, are you more hands on, or do you get to delegate most of the work?
I do almost none of the work. I don't think I do any work. I just help my leaders. I have very good leaders in my companies. I am, let's say, very, very appreciative of everything they do. It's when people say that, there's no such thing as, self-made millionaire, this is very true. Or maybe now in the internet age, you can build a business yourself, like alone, and make $1 million or multiple millions or whatever. But the chances of you doing that alone are very, very small. Typically you do it with others. And so in my case, the vast majority of the, let's say, reason why we've managed to grow so much and do so many things was because of the people we have, because they are very vested. I pay them well, so they're all 5-figure salaries and so on and so forth, or more, sometimes with bonuses. However, um, it's to the extent that, how should I say, I'm not needed in those businesses, right? Like they can function very well without me. And what I do is I just give them the direction that they need, right? Okay, let's do this month, let's do this next month, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so with leaders like that, they're great leaders, and that's excellent to have people like that on your staff. What type of qualities would a person like that possess? So, what type of people are you? Not that you're looking for people, but if you were looking for people, what
Yeah,
type of qualities should I possess so that I can be a part of something as successful as your organization?
yeah. We are looking for people. I'm always looking for great CEOs, great leaders, great operators, and so on and so forth. So if anyone is looking, they can obviously email me, and then we can, have a conversation. Um, they have to have a few criteria. Number one, they need to be self-motivated. I am not anyone's father genetically, right? I don't need to pull your hand to work, right? Maybe you had a mom, or a dad that had to, kick your little butt to go to school. I'm not that guy, right? You come to work, you love coming to work. If you don't love coming to work, don't bother, right? Don't, if you just need another job, just another paycheck, don't email me, please. We will not get along well. I will only get along well with you if you love to do whatever it is you love to do. If you want to run a business and you have what it takes to run a business, I can give you a business to run, right? Because we have enough. If you want to do marketing, you're very good at that, right? We could do that. And by good at marketing, I mean I spend X money on you and you make me 3 times that much in return on investment, or 10 times that much, or whatever, right? And so that's what good in marketing means. Good in marketing doesn't mean that you write nice content or create pretty pictures. That's not good in marketing. Those are deliverables. Good in marketing means that you invest $1,000, you make $5,000. That's what good marketing means, right? Or whatever the ROI, but there has to be an ROI. So same with engineers, same with managers, same with anything. If anyone needs to understand that if they are hired into an organization, they need to make more money than they are paid, and typically significantly more, because you have other types of overhead, other types of costs, and so on. So if a marketing person, let's say, is paid whatever $2,000 a month, and they make $2,000, they need to understand that they are very close to being fired, because at the end of the day, maybe my profit margin is 25%. So if you make me $2,000, I only made $500. And that's the reality of math, right?
Right.
It's facts, it's math, right? So if I have a 25% margin, you need to generate at least $8,000 as a marketing person, right? As a CEO, it's very similar to marketing and sales, because the CEO is responsible for the monetary performance of an asset, right? So if a CEO comes in at $500,000, the CEO says, I'm going to take this business to $1 million, in the first 12 months. And every month you'll see, did it grow or did it not? If after 3 months it's not working, or even 1 month, if they're doing some horrible things, you have to fire them immediately. But basically, so number one, they need to love to come to work, right? That was the first point. Number two is they need to be competent in whatever it is that they are doing. So I've had people that say that really want to be designers, for example, like they really, really want to be designers, and then when you give them work, their designs are horrible. And that's the least of it, because then when you tell them that the designs are horrible, they're like, oh, you don't understand art. Okay, well then we can't work together. I'm sorry. You just told me that we can't work together because if I don't understand art and I gave you something to do and you didn't do what I think you should have done,
Right.
then we can't work together. So those conversations are very easy to be had. But it's the same in everything else, right? If someone's managing a team and everyone hates them, they're obviously not a good manager, right? Because everyone hates them. If everyone hates them for the right reasons, like let's say they were a team of slackers and now you put a manager in and now they can't slack anymore, I'd rather fire the entire team if I find out that they're slacking and just get another team with the new manager, right? Obviously many times it's not the case, most times 90 something percent of the time, but sometimes people are slackers, and if you put a good manager in, immediately things change because now all of a sudden they can't do that anymore. So um so that's number two, it's competency. Number three is communication. They need to be very good communicators, right? At least in the terms of us getting along. Well, very good communication doesn't mean that you have perfect grammar. Very good communication means that I can have a discussion with you and we can both understand what you want to say and what I want to say, and we can reach a conclusion, right? That's beneficial for both of us, right? A poor communicator can be someone that has perfect grammar, but you can't talk to them. Like they're very eloquent in what they say, but you literally, like, you send them a piece of information and it goes like this above their head. It goes through one ear, comes out the other. You just can't communicate with them. They're horrible
Right.
communicators, right? And again, it has less to do with grammar, more to do with actual communication skills of actually understanding one another. Okay. And then fourth and final thing is that they need to be humble. If anyone comes to us, right, like we've had people that are, let's say, junior um, developers, and they had a salary requirement of like $4,000 a month or something, and I'm like, you're a junior. You should pay me to come into the company to learn how to do this, right? Because you don't really know how to do your work. I'm going to waste so much time on you bringing you in. Might as well let's get someone, because for 4 grand, I'm sorry, 50K a year as a salary, many people would take that, and they're mid-level or senior, right? So we have things like that when juniors come in and they ask outstanding amounts, or even seniors. Sometimes I've had seniors that say, oh, I have a multiple six-figure job. Like, okay, what do you actually do? This. Okay, well, I can get all of this for 50 grand a year. Like, okay. And so what do we do now? Do you want to join the company or not? Right? This is a very simple question, right? And we did have people that left $250,000 jobs to come to work with us for 70 grand or 80 grand, right? Why? Because unlimited vacation days, work whenever you want, from wherever you want, you do whatever you want to do, basically, you're entrepreneurial, right? And so on and so forth. At the same time, you need to understand what the market actually is like, right? Like, you need to have that humility to understand, if you have this amazingly high paying job in this office, right? If you want to keep that, keep it, or find some other big corporate. We are not big corporate. I am not Microsoft. I don't have billions of dollars to waste, on overpaid staff, right? And by the way, every once in a while, Microsoft and all of these companies just clean house because they were, oh, this guy's overpaid, this guy's overpaid, this guy's overpaid, and then they fire like 10,000 people, and everyone's shocked, like, oh my god, Microsoft let go 10,000 people. And I'm like, how did they not do that sooner? Obviously there's so much fat in that organization. Imagine, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of employees, the chances of Slack being in there in the trenches in all levels is so big. So as a business owner, I'm surprised that it takes them so long to fire someone, right? If I realize someone's slacking or is a bad vibe in the team, I let them go in a few weeks, right? Like, no, like, we can't work together. So basically, I can't afford to overpay for work. I can't afford to pay people fairly based on market rates, right? And so people need to have that humility to say, I want to do great work, I want to be appreciated, I want to have my own agenda, and I want to be paid for it. And that's it, right? So very simple arrangement, let's say. Everything's explained at the beginning. And this is not to pay people down. Like, for example, I have my secretarial team is making 5 figures, right? Like secretaries, like VAs, right, are making 5 figures a year. So it's not like we're not paying people well. However, I want to avoid, if anyone emails me, I want to avoid people, that just email me and say, oh, I want to be I don't know, an HR person, pay me 120 grand a year. And like, I can get HR services for $1,000 per person placed, right? Like per result of someone actually placed in a role, right? And so I'm going to pay 120 grand, if I can just get ad hoc services that I need. So that's basically it. Hopefully that answers your question. I know it's long, but those are the 4 criteria that I care about. And by the way, that humility, that 4th one, isn't just monetary. It's like having the humility to work with someone that's under you in hierarchy, if you're their manager, and really take ideas from them. It's like everyone in our organization comes up with ideas. We brainstorm all the time. How can we do this? How can we do that? It's open. It's an open mic day every day, right? Anyone can say or do whatever they want. And then if they have good ideas, to say, hey, John came up with this amazing idea, I think we should do it, right? So that level of humility as well is in that 4th quadrant.
Okay. So when we talk about customer service, do you always go with the customer is right, or do you typically go with your employee?
So I'm typically I typically say that the employee is right in most cases. I've had one like that the other month. One of our clients called me and said, "Oh my God, Robert, this happened and this and this and this." I'm like, "Okay, I understand. Let me ask the team." Like, Robert, there's nothing to ask. This and this and this happened. You don't protect your team. I'm like, well, this isn't protection. This is how things should be done. You have your opinion of what happened. Let me ask the team what actually happened from their side, and then we'll come together and see what's going on. So interestingly enough, the owner of the company, our client, the owner of the client company, told our team to do something, and then our team did something else. Simple, right? That's obviously, it's much more intricate than that, but our team did something else. And then the owner called me, because this guy's a deca millionaire, maybe even past 100 million, and he calls me directly, randomly. I was like, Robert, this and this and this happened. Why are you tolerating that? I'm like, what are you talking about? Let me just look into it. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Let me look in, right? Because I'm so far removed from all of these things that I need to actually do my due diligence. And guess what? I did my due diligence, and it so happened that the chief of marketing at that company told us to do something else after the owner told us to do something. So the owner said, do this. Then the chief of marketing said, no, you can do this instead. And we did what the chief of marketing said chronologically after this guy. Obviously, we thought that they talked to one another. And then the end result was what we agreed to with the chief of marketing. And so we didn't do anything wrong. We just followed normal procedure, right? And so that happens all the time. Miscommunication happens all the time. So I think whomever invented the client is always right has a problem.
Right.
Just, I don't understand how they function. That I don't want to say mean things. Let's just leave
Right.
it at that.
Right. Okay. So about how many books do you read per year?
Maybe I read anywhere between 5 to 10 books.
Okay.
And many times those are rereads because I
Okay.
believe I've already read everything I need to get to $1 billion. Now I just need to execute on that information. It's not like the next book is gonna tell me exactly what to do. No, I already read it, and I have so many books, even in my library here, and I have a bigger library some in another place. So I've read over 100 books until now. I don't need to read more books. What I need to do is execute better,
Execute.
right? And so rereading books helps me remember the things that I should be doing. And so that's what I tend to do a lot of. Like right now, I'm rereading 2 books that I've already read a couple years ago.
Okay. So what's a typical day? What are your hours typically like? Are you one of those 24/7 guys?
I'm definitely one of those 24/7 guys in terms of living life consciously and by design, right? So that doesn't mean work. That means whatever I want to do during that day. So what I do is I mix and match my days. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I work. I have meetings in the morning, and then Thursday and Tuesday, I have meetings in the evening. And so, other than that, it's my free time. I can do whatever I want with that free time. So I have 3 hours in the mornings, 3 times a week. So that's 9 hours total of meetings, right? And then I have 4 hours on Tuesday and 4 hours on Thursday evening for meetings. So that's another 8 hours. And the reason why I have it like that is because we operate globally. So Europe and Asia, I talk to in the morning, and sometimes Europe but mostly US, I talk to in the evening, right? Because I'm in Europe right now. So
Okay.
this way I can talk to anyone globally. My schedule permits it. And the rest of the time, again, I have four main priorities. Number one is my resolve. That is anything that has to do with my state of mind, my discipline, my level of energy, and so on and so forth. My commitment to what I want to do as a person. Number two is my career. So any cool projects I'm working on, any impact I can leave today or next month or next year, and so on. So I work a lot on that. Number three is my family, my wife, and everyone else that's in my family. And then number four is my health. So that's it. I only have these four buckets in my life. I am very boring. I even have it in my. Let me see if I can show you in my wallpaper. This is my wallpaper, and those are my four things that I focus on. So it's resolve, career, love, or family, and that's a little weight, right there for my
Yeah.
health. So that's it. So this is my this is all I do. Anything else fits within those. So if we want to go out, if we want to do something that fits within family, because I go out with my wife, right? If it's anything else, I just again make it work within those four categories.
Okay. So about what time do you get up?
Typically, I get up between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. And I go to bed anywhere between 10 a.m. to midnight. So
Well,
10 p.m. Sorry, 10
those are long days. Do you ever experience burnout?
p.m. I tend to eat well. I eat clean, and I work out a lot, so I have energy typically more than most. And I also take naps, by the way. Midday, I have my midday nap. It's my secret weapon. I don't know why everyone doesn't do it. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour sometimes, however much I just literally go to bed. I don't put an alarm, and I just wake up whenever I wake up. And then I have 2 days in one. I swear it's a secret weapon. I don't know why people don't do it. I have all of my day up until like midday, then I eat, then I sleep, and then I have my second day in the same day, basically.
All right. I read that traveling kind of gave you a ideal vantage point with business. What's your favorite place to travel, and what did you learn from that place?
Whew, I tend to stay away from favorites because every year it's like I learn something new, and favorites basically attaches you to something that is in your past. Not having favorites means your brain is always open to newer and better things, right? And so I can tell you that out of the places I've been to, I really, really love the Caribbeans. It's just the most beautiful beaches and sea that I have experienced. It's actually warm. Every place where people go to, like, come in, the water's warm. BS. It's always cold. It's always cold. The water's always cold. I never go in. I go in, you're like with my toes, and like it's cold. Sorry, I'm not. I'm not. I didn't come here to experience pain. I came here to experience pleasure. I'm not going in. So you just do whatever you want. On the Caribbean beaches, the water is actually warm. I would go to the beach and swim every day. It was so cool. I loved it. Everything was very nice. It's not warm as in like you would have a hot bath warm, but it's warm to the extent that it's not painful when you go in. You know, as a guy, when you go in past mid level, things start inverting. In certain oceans, But in there, you don't have that problem. It's perfect. It's very fine. And so I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed various other places. I went to Siberia at one point, to the middle of Siberia in Novosibirsk. Amazing time. Like, I had such an amazing time. It helped a lot that I was single at the time, and so it's part of why I had an amazing time. But it literally was amazing. I didn't expect it, because everyone's like, oh, it's snowy, it's horrible, it's bad people, it's whatever. Again, BS. Have you ever been? Right? Because I've gone there, and it was just so cool. I remember being on a beach at 3 a.m. Everyone was drunk. They're so happy. They're so, like, everyone's like, hey, hello, how are you? And they're trying to speak English, barely. It was amazing. I didn't feel scared, not even for a second. You know, if I would do that in maybe the US and in other places, I would get scared. Someone would gun me down, or in the UK, someone would stab me. You know, there, for some reason, I felt none of that. Maybe I was just naive, but really, I felt very safe there. And people were, I think, very practical, and so I enjoyed that about that place.
Okay. So you seem almost carefree. Do you tend to schedule things? Do you think it's important to write stuff down, or just go? Go, do you set goals? Do you write them down?
So everything in my life is calculated to a very large degree. I like to plan things ahead. I believe that we were blessed as a species with the faculty of planning and visioning and so on and so forth. I believe anyone that doesn't use that faculty is basically not evolving. I don't want to be rude to anyone, listening, but you have the faculty to envision the future, and you have the faculty to plan your steps to get to that future that you want. So if you do not tap into that faculty, long story short, I never saw someone that's truly accomplished in every area of their life that does not envision and plan, right, for it. Never. Not one example. I've seen hundreds of examples of people becoming millionaires and decamillionaires and billionaires, and having the relationship of their life and having the body of their life and doing whatever it is that they want, but all of them have envisioned it and planned for it.
Mm.
So I basically write everything down, and then if something happens like differently than is in my plan, I never get disgruntled. I just say, okay, well, I just deal with that as it comes.
Right. Okay. I like that. All right. So as we come to a close, I like to ask everyone a question. And my question that I ask is, if you could go back and talk to 17-year-old Robert, what would you tell him?
Oh my gosh. 17-year-old Robert, I would say build a website right now,
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Learn SEO.
Mm-hmm.
Create as much content as you can in whatever niche that you're passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
right? And drive attention to it, because attention is the most expensive thing that you can own. Literally, it's crazy how much attention costs. Like, people are paying billions of
Yes.
dollars, and I don't say millions. I say with a B,
Billion.
billions of dollars for entertainment, media companies, anyone that has any form of attention. I mean, just look at stars, like movie stars, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And they're not, by the way, they don't choose movie stars. I don't know if you know, in Hollywood and in these places, because they're the best actor for a movie. They
Nope.
choose it because they can drive the most ticket sales
Yep.
in the cinema. And that's crazy to me, that's how they choose, whether The Rock plays in the movie or not. Is like, who can drive the most sales, right? Who can make us most money? And so that is what's almost most valuable nowadays. I don't know if that will change, but I would tell 17-year-old Robert, make a website right now, right? Build traffic, learn SEO, do whatever you can do there, and start monetizing, all of those eyeballs. Do whatever you can, and that's basically it.
Okay. I like that. That's great advice. Okay. Would you like to tell everyone how they can follow you and keep up with you?
Sure. If they Google my full name, Robert Indries, I'm sure they can see it in the show notes and so on.
Uh-huh.
They should find me. First three pages should be about me. And then in my, what's it called? In my domain, robertindries.com,
Mm-hmm.
if anyone wants to ask me anything, even though I have an admin team that filters through my stuff, if they email me at robertindries.com and they mention your podcast or your name, Donna, then I will promise to reply personally to them.
Perfect. I love it. Okay, so thank you so much. We've made it to the end of the show. I hope you all learned a lot. He is over several businesses that have extensive revenue. So if you want to pay attention to anybody, Robert is one of those guys that you definitely want to pay attention to. So if you do have questions, send them to me or send it directly to Robert and he will get back with you. Again, thank you, Robert, for joining, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.